All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our community's house. We are all guests in it here to serve our community. My name is Mike Little, Mayor of the District of North Vancouver, and so the pleasure falls to me to welcome you all here to our regular meeting of council for Monday, October 24th at 7 o'clock. To start the meeting, I have asked Councillor Curran to do our land acknowledgement.
We respectfully acknowledge the original peoples of these lands and waters, specifically Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam, on whose unceded ancestral lands the District of North Vancouver is located, and we value the opportunity to learn, share, and serve our community on these unceded lands.
Thank you, Councillor Curran. Council, we have an agenda that's been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions from the agenda as presented? Hearing none, will someone please move adoption of the agenda? Moved by Councillor Back, second by Councillor Bond. Call the question on the matter. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries. Council, we have two sets of meetings that are there for your consideration. On the September 19th regular meeting of council, September 26th special meeting of council, are there any errors or omissions from those minutes as presented? Hearing none, will someone please move adoption of both sets of minutes? Moved by Councillor Murias or seconded by Councillor Hanson. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a special treat every year to welcome members from the Lynn Valley Legion to come and start the Poppy campaign here in our council chambers as we all prepare for the recognition on Remembrance Days. And so at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our guests from the Lynn Valley Legion.
Sergeant at Arms.
Sir.
Everybody rise, please.
Oh. Left, turn.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kelly Willett, President of the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 114, Lynn Valley, and with me tonight is RCL member Joe Phillips, the chair of our Poppy campaign. I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to be here and present to you all the first Poppy of the 2022 campaign. We at Branch 114 Lynn Valley have been serving the community of Lynn Valley and the District of North Vancouver at large for the past 92 years. Since our humble beginnings of veterans loosely gathered after the First World War, we were granted our charter from the Canadian Legion of the British Empire Service League on December 24th, 1930. The first meeting of the new Legion Branch 114 was held on December 28, 1930 in the District Hall of the Municipality of North Vancouver on Lynn Valley Road, where the Lynn Valley Care Centre now sits. From there, over the years, we purchased our present lands from the Corporation of the District of North Vancouver on June 4th, 1948 for the sum of $400. In the early 50s, we completed construction of our present building entirely with volunteer membership support. The Lynn Valley Legion was started and sponsored by Branch 114 Lynn Valley in June 1969. Through the following decades, Branch 114 Lynn Valley was an original supporter of the North Vancouver Kinsman Carnival and the Lynn Valley Days. We implemented and sponsored a smoke detector fire alarm installation program with the North Vancouver Fire Departments, ensuring that all seniors were safer in their homes. Veterans Plaza in Lynn Valley was spearheaded by Branch 114 in front of the refurbished North Vancouver Museum and Archives located in the old Lynn Valley Elementary School on Institute Road. And more recently, Lynn Valley Legion participated in the efforts to erect and dedicate a new war memorial in Cates Park. This undertaking was in partnership with the Tsleil-Waututh First Nation and federal and provincial governments, and the District of North Vancouver was spearheaded by our branch member, Mick Webb. This beautiful memorial is enjoyed today by all for a gathering place for an additional Remembrance Day service held by the Burrard Yacht Club and residents of the Seymour Deep Cove area. We work in partnership with other community organizations such as Lynn Valley Lions, Lynn Valley Community Association, Lynn Valley Services Society, North Shore Disability Resource Center, Sharing Abundance, and Lynn Valley Masonic Lodge to provide for the needs of the community at large. In the past 10 years alone, we've given back to veterans in our local community to the tune of $1,300,000 through our Poppy Trust and gaming funds. We continue to support veterans and their families and the seniors in our community through our Poppy Trust Fund. And we continue to support local sports organizations, local PACs, and many other seniors, youth, and service organizations within Lynn Valley and North Vancouver with our gaming funds. In the Royal Canadian Legion is the guardian of the Poppy and Remembrance in Canada. From the last Friday in October to Remembrance Day on November 11th of each year, millions of Canadians wear a poppy as a visual pledge to never forget those who sacrificed for our freedom. The Royal Canadian Legion invites everyone across the country to show their recognition by proudly wearing this symbol of remembrance and taking a moment to reflect. The Poppy campaign was created as a means to raise funds in order to perpetuate the sacred memory and provide for veterans of their families in their time of need. Prior to COVID-19, Lynn Valley Legion has provided a local Remembrance Day ceremony in Veterans Plaza, ensuring that veterans, families, seniors, youth, able-bodied and differently abled persons in Lynn Valley are given the opportunity to remember those who gave their lives in service for their country. This year will be different. We will be holding a small remembrance ceremony in front of the branch, displaying our wreaths. Thank you all for for continuing to support of Lynn Valley Branch 114. We would now like to present Mayor and Council with First Poppy.
Thank you. May the council stand up.
This will give you everything as a COVID protocol.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you. Here's thank you very much.
Yes, Councillor Forbes is joining us virtually tonight, so we'll make sure that we get the Poppy package to Councillor Forbes as well. And Kelly, just checking in, I believe you wanted to get a picture together. Is that it right now, or
We can do that after if you like, whatever's more convenient.
probably right now is probably the best time to do that, actually. Form us up. I don't know if would you like us in the middle, and then
That would be perfect.
or like with the color guard.
With the color guard, if we can do it that way.
We have the color guard assemble close to the desks, and then the council in front. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Form everyone up.
Everybody, yeah. Behind the back, yeah. Mayor in the middle, maybe. And in between each person, yeah. And come on in. And you're coming too. Everybody, oh, well, come on. We're never gonna be able to get the shot that way. Can you get it? Really?
Fine.
Okay. There we go. And you and I, here we go. Right here. There we go. There. See how that works? You turn a little bit on the side, and you're standing a little over here. And you're gonna come over again. We're gonna trade places. Yeah. And we just want to turn in a little bit. There we go. Turn in. There we go. And I just gotta fit you a little bit, and you come Good, okay. Thank you. Thank you for your service here. Thanks.
I would like to ask the color party to stay in position and just checking if Beach, is that okay if we'll do the recognition up there? Just give me 2 more minutes on the microphone here. Sure. On behalf of the council, I'd like to thank the members of the Legion for being here today. We really appreciate your service to the community. Council, will somebody please move adoption of the receipt of the delegation? Moved by Councillor Murray, second by Councillor Back. Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Thank you very much. And to the members, to the people present from our community, I've asked the color guard to stay in position here because I was notified a couple of weeks ago that our Member of Parliament, Terry Beach from this area, has decided to recognize the 2018 to 2022 Council with the Queen's Jubilee Award. And so at this time, I'd like to invite Member of Parliament Terry Beach up to the microphone here. And I don't know if you have some opening comments, and then we'll assemble the award winners as opportunity presents.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Your Worship. Great to see you, Council, and thank you to the Legion as well. I'd be remiss. I don't have a copy on, but now that you've opened it, you have every right to get a very nice donation so I can get my copy and wear it to Parliament tomorrow. Members, I won't take too much of your time. Earlier this year, before the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, in honor of the Platinum Jubilee, 70 years of service, each member of Parliament in each part of the country was tasked with the job of identifying individuals and organizations within the community that have made a significant difference. And it seemed obvious to me that the elected officials that have served our community for so many years was a good place to go. And speaking specifically to this mayor and council, I think the fact that everybody who sought re-election was re-elected with one exception, although I don't think 49% of the vote is anything a knock on Councillor Bond, just shows the work that you've done over the last 4 years. And of course, I've had an opportunity to work with many of you for more than 7 years. And of course, many of you have been here a lot longer than that as well. The Platinum Jubilee Award is a significant milestone in that it probably will never happen again. It certainly will not happen in our lifetimes. And we have taken the opportunity to frame them up for those of you who would like to display them in your offices. But feel free if as elected officials, if you'd like to wear them, you can take it out and use it that way as well. We have one for each of the councillors and for the mayor as well. And probably the easiest, we can just distribute them to you all, take a picture, and then let you go on with your council business. But from the bottom of my heart, and I know a lot of you personally, I've even run with 2 of you or against 2 of you. I don't know how you want to say it, but I will say this, people ask me all the time about I just celebrated 10 years in office, including 3 years of myself being on a municipal council. And it is good to know with everything that is working in the world or that is happening in the world, that democracy still works in Canada. And really collectively, we are a group of individuals who really are representative of the people that we represent. There's nothing magical about it. We go to door knock, we represent the people as best we can with the information that we have. And I will say the thing about you that you will not say about yourselves in election campaigns and the like. You guys make tremendous sacrifices for your community. It's not just that. Your families make tremendous sacrifices for the community, whether it be your children or your partner or your relatives who either have to defend you at the grocery store or or have to do without you in the evenings when they really would wish to spend time with you because you are here serving. So to me, this is incredibly well deserved. Thank you on behalf of the entire community and on behalf of the Government of Canada for the work that you do. And for those that were re-elected, congratulations. And I am certain for one particular individual that there are great things ahead. And of course, for those who didn't seek re-election, thank you as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind words. Former Councillor Beach, he was a councillor in Nanaimo back in the day and currently our Member of Parliament. So I'm going to ask the council if we can move back into our positions in the center and we'll take another photo.
We'll try to distribute them as best we can.
not here, so we'll have to.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Have a mass enjoyable.
Oh. Okay. Like you just want to repeat it? Very much. On the desk. Where would you like me?
You two in the center.
I saw Lisa do this very well, so whatever you said.
Maybe we'll just move you down over. And then,
We'll do the nice one first.
The expensive one is always the better
Do
one.
the nice one first. Okay, final one. Or maybe we'll scooch in a tiny
Or
bit.
just back up a bit.
Yeah, anyways, 3, 2, 1.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Again, Jerry. Have a great day. Yeah. Make Kelly. You want to dismiss the color guard? Yeah.
Sergeant Darby.
Please let me make it. Another party?
Right turn. Mark.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Once again, on
And
behalf of the
congratulations,
council,
all of you as well.
thank you so much for coming today. Wish you a very successful Poppy campaign and look forward to recognizing this time of year together with you. All right. We do have a couple of guests that I'd like to recognize here today. Joining us, we have Councillor-elect Catherine Pope. Welcome. And Councillor-elect Herman Ma is in the corner of the room saying goodbye to the MP, and so he's politicking, working the room. Good for you, Herman. Okay, we're good. Okay. At this point, we're going to return to the agenda that we had begun earlier. And so the next item is reports from council or staff. We have item 8.1. Sorry. Oh, yes, of course. This is a regular meeting of council, so which means that we have an opportunity for public input. So the council reserves a period of time up to a half an hour at the front end of every regular meeting of council for public input. We do have 2 members of the public that have signed up to speak today, I believe. And I believe they're joining us. They're both joining us virtually today. So can we make sure that Corey Cost and Hazen Colbert are moved over to the meeting? And at this time, I'm going to go to Corey Cost. Can you hear me?
Yes, Your Worship. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but I'd like the volume moved up just a smidge. Welcome. You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Okay. I just want to share something on the side of the screen. I hope you can see. What is a very short presentation on 3 items. But before that, good evening, Your Worship and members of council. Congratulations to all the winners of the election. I just have some remarks to make, and one of them is about trees versus solar panel. Just for your information, you need about 50 trees to compensate and match the benefits of putting a solar panel on your roof. I give references as shown, and California has given priority to those solar panels that came before the trees since 1978. There has been some revisions since then, but essentially that principle stays. The threat of forest fires should be foundational to the consideration of priority of prioritizing solar over trees, especially since most of the district trees are outside the build-up areas. On the release of the July 18th closed meeting in the purchase of 1801 Kaplan Road for $9.1 million, I want to say that this would constitute the 11th potential stop for anyone coming through Stanley Park and heading by Edgemont Village, as I do, to my home. And that means Cap Marine, Curling Road, Cap at Hope, Cap at Fullerton, Cap at 21st, Cap at Highway 1 East, and Cap heading to Highway 1 West, and Cap at Paisley, Ridgewood Sunset, and the Ridgewood Edgemont and Edgemont Queens intersections. Certainly, I hope that no more will be added, and maybe not even the Hope Road, because all of these things impede not only vehicles, but also transit. On item 8.1, it should be noted that Canada is culturally the most diverse country in the Western world. On a scale of 0 to 1, where 1 is the most diverse, Canada ranks 0.69 or so, and the US ranks only about 0.28. I note the lack of specific references in the support material of item 8.1, and I urge Council, for example, to read the toolkit report, quote, Canadian Coalition of Municipalities Against Racism and Discrimination. I think references are important to put in any agenda item, but in this particular case, I also urge that decisions not be made by this council, at least not until the full information has been absorbed by the public as well. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and I'll be listening in on the rest of council. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Dr. Koss. The next speaker I have is Hazen Colbert, followed by John Miller. Mr. Colbert, can you hear me? Mr. Colbert, you're muted. Can you hear me?
Mayor Miller, can you now hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, Mayor Little.
Welcome.
Mayor Little, can you hear me?
You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Mayor Little, I hold a unique position as I speak tonight. And that unique position goes back a few years to when the Queen's Jubilee Medal was originally awarded to Canadians. During that time, I was one of the people involved with the Vancouver Police Department and also with the community policing unit of that Vancouver Police Department, where I was asked, as were others, to recommend people for the Queen's Jubilee Award. I learned a great deal, and I did recommend people. And I learned a great deal about the Queen's Jubilee Award. Now, at that time, there were a great deal of people who were nominated and were awarded the Queen's Jubilee Award. I am not aware of any person, not one person, in the province of British Columbia that, let me back up, in the Lower Mainland, that did not accept the Queen's Jubilee Award. Not one person. But I note tonight that when this award, which is an extraordinary award for very good people, that Councillor Megan Kern walked out of the room.
So
she refused. Can you stop? No, don't start. Don't start, Mike. She walked out of the room. I have never seen in my life such a disrespectful display
Mr.
of
Colbert,
Canadian value.
So, Mr.
Stop it, Mike.
I'm gonna have
It was
I'm gonna have to
disgraceful.
stop you there.
Mike, is the sergeant at
I don't
arms
think that we can speak to the
available?
motives of a member of council or their
Not
decision.
asking that.
Councillor
I'm
Curran
asking,
completely
is
well
the
within their
sergeant
rights
at
to decide,
arms available?
whether to accept
I
the
would
award or
ask
whether to
that if
decline the
the
award, and it's
sergeant
up to
at
her
arms
to
is
explain her
available,
reasons for
that
or against
Megan
that.
Curran
And
be
so,
removed from the
at this
room.
point, I'm going to stop that commentary. Mr. Colbert, do you have any other comments not related to that matter?
Remove her from the room. She
Okay.
does not deserve
Thank
to
you
be
very much for
in
your comments
a
tonight, Mr.
council
Colbert.
room in this country.
The next
That's
speaker
not
I
just-
have is John Miller.
You idiot. You idiot.
Welcome.
Evening. John Miller, 1600 Block Tatlow Avenue. Speaking to item 6.1.1, which is the $9.1 million purchase of 1801 Capilano Road. I'm here tonight to request that the district perform a complete review of what is intended for the property at 1801 Capilano Road before proceeding with the original plan. It was never part of the plan for the district to purchase this piece of property in order to build a roadway. A proposed development was submitted to the district for a 100-room hotel that allowed for the roadway to be built at no cost to the district. The hotel would have been a welcome asset for the village and would have created new jobs. With the hotel, maybe North Shore Emergency Management could keep district residents affected by emergencies or disasters on the North Shore instead of placing them at UBC or in other municipalities off the North Shore. The district rejected the proposed hotel as the roadway would have run under a portion of the building, thereby creating a tunnel effect that would have blocked the view of the public plaza that even Mayor Little has stated has become a white elephant. The district, having rejected the hotel proposal, has now rewarded the property owner with a profit of just under $2 million for holding the property for 18 months. Nice profit. There have been numerous changes since the OCP and plans for the village were adopted years ago. The original plan was to have both the north and southbound buses on Capilano Road use McGuire Avenue. McGuire Avenue was to be widened to accommodate the buses and turned into Capilano Road with a traffic lighted intersection for ease of bus movements. Northbound buses now use Cap Road, and staff advised that the southbound routes will eventually move to Cap Road too. Therefore, the proposed lighted full intersection at McGuire and Cap Road should be amended to be the same as the Garden Avenue and Cap, with no traffic lights, only northbound right turns allowed and left turn southbound into McGuire Avenue from Cap Road. The last thing needed on Cap Road is another lighted intersection to delay traffic. Ask yourselves, who is going to use the proposed road from Cap Road to the public plaza? Not the drivers going to the community center because they have to go to Fullerton Avenue to get to the underground parking. Is it for shortcutters attempting to skirt the Fullerton and Curling intersections? Is the district spending millions of dollars to create a shortcut for rat runners? Lionsgate Lane was created as a Wurnuff Road. Is this traffic called Wurnuff Road to be changed to a shortcut for rat runners? The district failed in the Lionsgate Village to meet the OCP requirements of net new jobs and providing 100,000 square foot of commercial space and related services. The school board has changed the catchment area of the nearby schools, and now all elementary schools students on the west side of Cap Road are slated to attend Norgate Elementary School. Capilano Road adjoining the village is very pedestrian unfriendly. The traffic lights are all timed to allow for vehicle movement and not the pedestrians. The district, with the purchase of 1801 Capilano Road, now has the land on the west side of Capilano Road for a safe pedestrian overpass, which was originally part of the plan but later dropped. The land on the east side of Cap Road for the pedestrian overpass is available where the proposed plaza was to be situated and where Hope Road is to be eventually closed at Cap Road.
I can have you draw to a close.
Yep, just over here. Now is the time to perform a thorough review, including public input of the use for the purchased property, instead of plowing ahead with an outdated plan that would have a roadway to nowhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Okay. Do we have, I see a raised hand online from Erwin Ustindi. Can we make sure that Erwin is moved over to the virtual meeting here?
And good evening.
Welcome. You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Great. Thanks very much, Your Worship. I'm speaking on behalf in favor of item 8.1, and also as a youth living in growing up in Lynn Valley, a former FOE Eagles soccer player. So kudos to the FOE Eagles for their long decades of work. Also a son of Dirk Ostini, the parks manager from 1959 to 1993. Also want to give acknowledgements to this council as you finish your work in this term for acknowledging the Maplewood Flats for the Heritage Awards this year. It's much appreciated, and it was exciting to see the national media attention that the presentation of that award gave to the issues of natural history and protecting natural history as we're doing at Maplewood Flats. I also have been a member of the Climate Action Advisory Committee, so I want to appreciate council for their work supporting that policy piece, and it was an interesting experience participating. But tonight I just want to speak briefly in support of item 8.1, the Reconciliation Task Force, and the proposal for framework and ongoing work on the issue of reconciliation with Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish Nation here on the North Shore. It's specifically with the experience, and I think some of you know who I know on council for many years. I've been working on this file for a few decades, and as formerly as president and executive director of the North Vancouver Arts Council 30 years ago. I was also a founding member of the advisory committee that created the Tri-Municipal Arts Commission back in 1989. So I really see the value of tri-municipal collaboration, and I see in the report for 8.1 the idea of hiring an Indigenous Relations Liaison. I think it's a progressive and great idea. Our friends at New Westminster, Vancouver, many different municipalities in the region are doing that work and having significant success. I also really appreciate the model of municipalities working together, and I think this is a specifically appropriate policy area for cross-boundary cooperation. I think whether both North Vancouver municipalities work together on it, or whether West Vancouver can be convinced of it as well. But I think working outside of just the interests of the district is an appropriate strategy for reconciliation with Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish. I also recognize that these issues can be challenging, and tonight we witnessed a kind of a offensive and abusive experience where a councillor is putting forward progressive ideas and getting attacked by other citizens. So I just feel sad about that, but I also feel really want to acknowledge Megan Curran for her courage in advancing public policy that helps the district move forward. And I certainly support and encourage council to endorse and move forward on item 8.1. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Erwin Ustindi. Would anybody else like to address council this evening? Seeing no further hands, I'm going to say that we've completed the public input at this point. Council, with that, we have one item at this time, and if council is amenable, I'd like to call a recess for a couple of minutes. It's Councillor Curran's report, and she's out of the room for the moment, and if I can ask for a recess of 2 or 3 minutes, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll just see if she can rejoin the meeting. Welcome back. No need to carry on with that recess. Is that okay, Mr. Clerk? Okay, great. Thank you so much. At this point, we're going to return to the regular part of the agenda. This is the reports from committee or staff. And we have at this time, item 8.1, recommendations regarding continued support and action on reconciliation, anti-racism, equity, inclusion, and diversity. And this is a report being brought forward by Councillor Curran. Welcome. Would you like to make opening remarks on this report? Sure. Yep.
Staff recommendation. Okay,
it's been moved by Councillor Curran and seconded by Councillor Murray. Your comments, Councillor Curran?
Yeah, is this on? This is really just continuing some work that we started with the addition that was requested by Tsleil-Waututh specifically around the Reconciliation Task Force. So that's really the new piece of work. Just background for anyone that's listening, the report outlines initiatives that we implemented in the 2018 to 2022 term as they relate to advancing reconciliation, anti-racism, and equity. And this provides staff with an organizational-wide action plan to continue to fulfill the district's long-term commitments to building a more equitable, inclusive, and anti-racist community, and to continue advancing reconciliation in a meaningful way. Happy to answer any questions, but I think the report is fairly self-explanatory. I think this work is critical for us to do, and it's getting started, but there's lots more that we need to do. It's really lifelong work. So I'm hoping council will support moving this forward this evening.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kern. As a seconder, Councillor Murray, your comments?
Thank you, Mayor Little, and thank you, Councillor Kern, for bringing this forward. At the beginning of this term, we began work on the Coalition of Inclusive Municipalities, and I'm just wondering, Mr. Stewart, where are we with that? We began a discussion in 2018, 2019 in regards to a motion that Councillor Kern brought forward. Is that ongoing work?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we were supportive of it then, and we continue to be supportive, obviously, to make sure that we're as diverse and equitable as we can be. And certainly, you know, any challenge in regards to racism is something that we want to wipe out of our communities and our society. I'm completely supportive of the Reconciliation Task Force. I chair the AOC currently, the Advisory Oversight Committee, which makes recommendations to council. And I look forward to a discussion in regards to a task force. And I truly look forward to, you know, working towards a place where the relationships within our community can grow. In the past, councils, you know, with our neighboring municipalities, with First Nations, with the school district, you know, we always reach out to one another to meet in the beginning of a term. And we meet, maybe we meet twice, sometimes we meet 3 times. I think we need to look at something different in order to truly, you know, sit down and talk to each other as people and really try to work differently at creating relationships. As Councillor Kern points out, it's a lifelong pursuit of relationship building. And I think we need to look at how we build those relationships differently going forward. I look forward to those discussions with the new council and the community. It's a divisive time in society right now. It's our world is at a place where we are looking at each other's differences more than looking at each other's similarities. We need to come together as people, and you know, I think we're all trying to work towards the good, and I really hope that the dialogue that we take forward in this next 4 years, and as a community, as a council, as a society, as a province, as a country, changes, because the last little while has been tough, and I think we're becoming less patient with one another, and I think we should become more patient with one another as people. So I look forward to this work, and I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Next speaker I have is Councillor Hanson.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Councillor Kern. Thank you, Councillor Kern, for bringing the motion, and thank you for your comments, Councillor Murray, with which I entirely agree. I'm very happy to support this motion. One of the 2 underlying motions that are cited in the report, in fact, was brought by myself, and I was an enthusiastic supporter of the motion with respect to the Coalition of Inclusive Communities. The one thing I would note is that we're in an odd phase in this legislative cycle whereby an election is being held and a new council has been established. In fact, the 2 newly elected members of that council are in the room with us today. So I will certainly be voting in favor of the motion, and I certainly support the spirit of the motion. At the same time, it could be perceived as disrespectful both to the public and to the newly established council if we were, by supporting this motion, in any way supporting the priorities of the next council. The next council, to the degree that it is allocating its resources and setting its priorities, will obviously do so originally according to its own values, and that is the will of the community. With that comment, I'm pleased to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hansen. Councillor Back.
Wrong button. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you very much, Councillor Curran, for bringing this motion forward. I am also going to be supporting it, both aspects of this motion. And I wanted to use the opportunity just to thank you, Councillor Curran, for all of the work that you have done over the course of this term. You've brought more motions forward around climate action, around social justice, and so much of this work I'm proud to do my part to help carry on. But with regards to this specific motion, I think continuing on with our work around the Coalition of Inclusive Municipalities will make our community better, and I look forward to keeping that going. And then around a reconciliation task force, I was listening to the comments of Mr. Oostindie, and I think it really does make a lot of sense for us to try and collaborate across the North Shore in working with Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish. But we certainly have a lot of work to do to improve those relationships, and I look forward to much more of a regular sort of relationship where we're sharing information and working together with both First Nations here on the North Shore. But I do think it does make sense to try and work with the other municipalities as well, and I'm glad to support this. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Back, for your comments. Just my own comments on the matter. I think you've raised a really good point here that we have a number of initiatives that we have started under this council, and I think that it'll be very important to the orientation of the new council to say what we've done, what we've committed to do, and what we still have to do in regard to the many initiatives that the 2018 to 2022 council has engaged in. Because I think you run the risk that many of the initiatives that have been supported by the council will not carry forward, and we want to make sure that the new council has an opportunity to comment on those and hopefully rally around together behind those initiatives and carry them forward into the new council. So I think that's an important part of the orientation process. Councillor Bond, your comments?
Thank you, Mayor Little. I'd just like to lend my support behind this motion as well. If you look at the work that has been recently started with the City of Vancouver and the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations with their the results of their task force and their framework around UNDRIP, I think you can see a lot of really good work being done in this region, and it's just the start. I think if you read the comments from Castellan on that report and on that work, it is just basically the first step. And so I think moving forward, this council, I would love to see this council prioritizing this work. This is the type of work that will be bringing communities together, bringing people together, and healing some of those wounds and having those important conversations. This type of task force and this type of work is something that our community does need to be prioritized over the next very long time to continue this work. So I'm very supportive of this moving forward.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bond. Councillor Forbes.
Thank you, Your Worship. My apologies that I'm not able to be there tonight. Up until about an hour before the meeting, I had planned to be there. I would just like to say that I don't think anybody sitting around the council table or even in the audience and the public would disagree with the fact that we need to be as inclusive as we can be, as equitable as we can be, and certainly anti-racist. There's far too much of that happening in the world. So I'm in favor of this report. What I'm a little bit concerned about has already been mentioned, and it's the process by how we're doing it and the timing. And so as Councillor Hansen said, we're caught sort of in the middle of the end of one council and beginning of the next, so we can't technically bind the new council to the same idea. And I also think, as the mayor has said, it's very important that the two new councillors are included in the subjects and all the points that have been mentioned here that has gone on between 2018 and now. So they need to have a chance to get up to speed and be able to understand sort of what's happened and where we've come from to get to where we are now. I also would like to see some discussion or review done with the general public, so that they know. I'm sad to say that the turnout in this last election has indicated to me that perhaps there isn't as much involvement of the public with council matters as I'd like there to be. So anytime we can involve the public in an important conversation, and I feel this is a very important conversation, I'd really like to involve them. So given those two procedural things, I think that, as you mentioned, Mayor, if we have something in the beginning for the new councilors and then possibly a workshop or a review that be done, I would be behind that 100%. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for your comments, Councillor Forbes. I see no other further speakers at this time, so I'm going to call the question on the motion. All those, Councillor Forbes, I see your hand raised again. Is it from before? Okay. Call the question on the motion. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries. Great. Thank you very much. The last item of business this evening is reports. And so I'm going to look to the Chief Administrative Officer. Do you have any reports to make this evening?
No, I don't, Worship.
And I'm going to, while I wanted to give reports on the election results, we're actually not technically official results. And so I'm going to save those comments for the inaugural meeting of the council. Yes, we have released the official results, but we're not through the challenge period. And so until those numbers are finally validated, I'll keep my comments on the election to a minimum. But did just want to at least express my appreciation to all of the people who came out to make that day work, all of the staff who put in the time and effort in preparation for that event. It's no small task to carry out a complex election with 24 polling stations, 20 large ones throughout the community, plus the advanced polls and mail-in ballots and the mobile poll. It's no small task. So I wanted to express my appreciation to all of the staff and members of the community who came out to make that happen, as well as, of course, the members of our community who came out and voted in the election as well. But further comments on that at the inaugural meeting. Any other members of council wishing to make a report this evening? Councillor Bond?
Yeah, I will report on my last official meeting at the Metro Vancouver Housing Committee, which was on October 6th, where the board, the committee passed the 2023 to 2027 capital plan. I think if you're able to, Mayor Little, getting a council representative on Metro Vancouver Housing again for the next council would be a great thing. It's been a great experience for me to learn more about all stages of development for non-market housing in our community. The capital plan right now includes long-term, over the next 5 years, the one site that the district has approved at Riverside, as well as a number of about 600 different homes that are being delivered through redevelopment for Metro Vancouver Housing, and 4 other sites that are currently at various stages of development. It's been a really interesting learning process to understand both the length of time and the different stages of even the challenges of constructing non-market housing when everyone has everything approved and the funding's in place. It's still a very challenging thing in our community. So I think the next council that has the opportunity to take on that role for this council will bring a lot of good ideas and a lot of good service back to the community. So big capital plan. Metro Vancouver is still pushing ahead. They're a little bit delayed, obviously, by supply chain and inflation, and some of their capital plans are being delayed, but they still have a lot of initiative and a lot of momentum to bring a lot of rent geared to income and non-market rental homes to communities across the region.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bond. And yes, it's absolutely very important for us to have a rep on the Housing Committee, and I know you're passionate about the subject matter, so if we are successful at getting Metro to assign a DNV rep, I think it would be a great idea to set up a coffee and pick your brain on what's been happening in that area. So thank you very much for your report. The next report that I have is Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, thank you very much. In the same vein as Councillor Bond, I'd like to report on the last meeting of the Indigenous Relations Committee. This is a committee in which I've sat as the district's nominee for 8 years. Many of us on that committee have sat for that period of time. The chair of that committee, Marianne Booth, was of course not re-elected. So any way we look at it, that committee is going to have a different constitution going forward. Just a couple of highlights from the meeting. A lot of the meeting was dedicated to sharing our time together and our commitments for the future. I will note that the current budget of the Metro Vancouver Indigenous Relations Committee is now 1.4 million, which is a very significant increase over its prior budget. The 2023 budget is forecast to rise 21.7% to 1.7 million. And the 2027 budget is set to grow to $2 million. All of that reflects the commitment of Metro Vancouver to properly fund and properly resource this committee in view of the complexity of the issues that are coming forward. I'll also just highlight the fact that a major issue before that committee, before Metro and through Metro before us, is how to include members of the non-treaty First Nations in the governance of Metro and in the Metro Vancouver committees. And in the next 4 years of the Metro Vancouver Indigenous Relations Committee, I expect we'll see a lot of progress with respect to the inclusion of non-treaty First Nations in the Metro governance. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hanson. Next speaker is Councillor Muir. Your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor Little. Metro Vancouver had their budget workshop last week, and there was a presentation. There has been ongoing presentations in all of the committees for the last 2 months thereabouts in regards to the budget, and it was brought forward in a workshop with Metro Vancouver Board of Directors, and it will be again discussed this Friday at their board meeting. There has been a significant change in board members across the region with the recent election, and there are, as Councillor Hanson points out, some significant complexities going on with the region, and so it's going to be imperative that there's a balance of experienced members to the board and to the committees, and at the same time welcoming new members with a lot of new mayors actually that will be replaced. So we'll look forward to that. The work of Metro Vancouver continues. There's certainly significant work as we are one of the largest capital responsible for some of the largest capital needs in the region, including our watersheds. We have a solid waste, we have liquid waste, and we have several parks within the region as well. So I look forward to the work going forward. And I would also like to ask Mayor Little, when I note that Mr. Willett in the Legion talked about a smaller ceremony this year for Remembrance Day. Last year, although there wasn't anything formally planned at Kate's Park, there was quite a large turnout at Kate's Park of residents that were going down there. And I would just like us to be able to report to the community if there is any formal or informal event that we're looking for on November 11th, given that we sort of are coming out of the COVID practice. So I'm not sure if staff can report on that now or.
Mr. Stewart, do you have a comment on the matter?
Your Worship, we can follow up on that and report back to council.
Okay, thank you.
We'll make sure that we have that for the November 7th meeting inauguration. And,
yeah.
And I think it would be appropriate for us to push that out through our social media channels to support those events.
Absolutely.
I know the Victoria Park event will occur. They've always had some challenges with the Lynn Valley location because there's so much traffic noise in there. We have at times closed the lane of Lynn Valley Road to try to get the speed and noise down during the course of the event. But it is still a challenge. But we definitely want to still be a support to 114 as they recognize the day.
I know that last year there was a number of wreaths that were delivered to the park, and there was probably 500 people there, 600 people. It's a big event, but there wasn't really anything formal. But it was amazing how people really did come together just naturally, and everybody took a role. And so I think I'd like to just understand, for the community's sake, if we can sort of up the formality of it a little bit more as we creep towards our new normal.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that's what we want. The challenge was that last year they had a major windstorm in Kate's Park, and we had a lot of tree fall. And so the decision was made a couple of days before, because the windstorm was expected to last multiple days. We made the decision to not have a formal event there because there were literally branches falling off of the trees into the space. But I think that does reflect our desires to have a more formalized ceremony there. I imagine the Burrard Yacht Club will still be having their waterside ceremony, but it was always so encouraging to see. It was a great family atmosphere at that one. There lots of kids were brought out to it, and so I definitely want to see that return to its former level, but also exceed going forward as well. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Murray. Would anybody else like to make a report? Okay, having concluded the business of this evening's meeting, at this point, if somebody will move adjournment, I'll happily accept. Councillor Bond, would you like to move adjournment? I accept. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the members of the public for participating in the meeting today. Thank you to the staff for all of the preparation they put into it. And thank you, Council, for your support this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a fantastic week. Good night.